Come back to Arise News Hour. I'm Charles Anyegolu. Now, Australia's Uluru has permanently closed to climbers to meet the wishes of Aboriginal people who hold the red monolith sacred. Hundreds of tourists flocked for one last chance to scale the sacred red rock ahead of the climbing ban before rangers shut the entry gates to the world-famous site, which used to be known as Ayers Rock. The ban, first announced in 2017, had long been sought by the traditional Aboriginal owners of the land, the Anangu, whose connection to the site dates back tens of thousands of years. There were already signs at the base of the rock imploring visitors not to climb it, but these were not often heeded, especially in recent months as a surge of tourists made last-minute ascents.
I'm really happy.
No more Mingarama.
No more climb back today. Close it. Thank you very much.
So today we are climbing the rock to experience the sacredness of the Aboriginal people, and my opinion on the ban is I respect it if that's what they want to cherish and keep preserved, then they should have the ability to do that.
Yeah, so we drove 3 hours to get here this morning for the 8 o'clock climb, and we overheard the rangers talking with the wind, and were aware they weren't going to open it, and weren't confident they would have at 10 because the wind hadn't really changed, but they opened it and let us go. So if they didn't open at 10, we were just going to head off, but we're glad we hung around for the second one and happy to have got up there and did the climb.
People there at the base of Uluru. Well, joining us from London to discuss the ban on climbing the sacred rock is the Australian environmentalist Jacqueline Bell. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. And I understand, I presume you've seen some of the pictures, but I understand the queues to climb Uluru for the last time were stretching right around the corner from the car park. Literally, I mean, thousands of people.
Yes, that's absolutely right, Charles. The last few weeks, actually the last 6 months, the queues of people making their way to Uluru have just been phenomenal, but it's also caused a lot of problems around the area because people have found that all the caravan parks have been full, all of the hotels are full, so there's nowhere for them to stay. And they've been parking and camping on the side of the road, and that's caused loads of issues in itself. People have left rubbish behind, and you know, it's just not good really. So I'm glad that this ban has finally come into place.
And of course, I would imagine for somebody like yourself, who is something of an environmentalist, I mean, you'd be as equally concerned of people climbing the rock as you are of people leaving sort of rubbish all over the place. But I mean, what exactly has prompted this decision to stop visitors from climbing that massive red rock that used to be known as Ayers Rock? I understand the Aboriginal people believe it's deeply sacrilegious to climb Uluru, and that sitting or walking on it actually causes it pain.
Yes, that's exactly right, Charles. Actually, there's a lot of reasons why the traditional owners of this land, and that's the Anangu people, put a ban in place. Actually, it was decided 2 years ago. They voted on it, that they would stop the climbing of the rock on the 26th of October 2019. And the two major reasons are environmental impact and, of course, the fact that it is a sacred site for the Aboriginal people. So if you consider that the rock itself, to climb that rock takes about 3.5 hours. So that's just to get to the top, and then you've got to come back down again, and it's quite treacherous and dangerous. A lot of people have actually died making this hike up and down the rock. So if you think about it, it's going to take a whole day to get up. You get up there, you want to take photos, you sit, you have lunch, and then you've got to come back down again. And a whole day away, you need to eat, you need to drink, you need to go to the toilet as well. So there's all that impact on the rock. and there are over 300,000 people climbing that rock every single year. So that's a great impact on it. And the other, the major reason is because this is, it's a sacred site for the Aboriginal people. Uluru represents the centre of the universe for the Aboriginal people. It represents Mother Earth. It's part of their dreaming, their dream time. So to them, if you walk on the rock, you're actually stepping on their ancestors, and you know, that whole area to them is extremely important. That rock is over 600 million years old. The Aboriginal people have been there in that particular region for over 10,000 years. So it's really important, and I think it's important for all Australians, the first Australians and new Australians.
That's a very good point. I mean, I was just wondering what it must have done. I mean, we saw some pictures of the Indigenous people celebrating the ban today. I wonder what it must have done to them, especially those who live around Uluru, seeing tourists sort of traipsing around it, and what it means to them now that the ban has come into force.
Well, they're extremely happy that this ban is now in force. You know, as I said, they put the ban in force 2 years ago. They're the traditional owners of this land. The land was given back to them over 34 years ago. So it's actually almost to the date that they've stopped people climbing on Uluru. So yeah, it's been 34 years actually. I think it's 1987 that they were handed back the rights to that whole area. So they manage that area, which is fantastic. It's a World Heritage Site. So they were basically given back their traditional rights, and they were able to they want to be able to inform tourists of how important this is. And despite the fact that there's been signs put up around the rock in several different languages asking people not to climb the rock, people still go ahead and climb. So that's why they really decided to put this ban in place.
Well, very, very briefly, because we're out of time, on a more practical level, of course, Uluru is a great tourist attraction. Is there a sense that stopping people climbing the rock may lead to a drop in the, you know, tourist numbers to the site? Very briefly.
No, not at all, Charles. I mean, if you go to the rock, it's magnificent. You look at it, you can see it from miles away, and it's just sort of in this amazing isolated area. This huge big structure. This it's not a monolith, it's actually a subterranean rock formation. So it's not going to stop tourists going. In fact, hopefully it will increase more awareness of Aboriginal culture, and that's what the Aboriginals are also hoping. I mean, when you go there, you can still see all of the petroglyphs, which are the is another term for rock carvings, which are an Australian national treasure. There's lots of amazing things to see around that rock, and the fact that you can't climb it anymore doesn't take away from the magnificence of the rock.